My winters have always been a bit different living down here in Florida.
So, we just got tornado warned.
On double on both storms. That is insane.
When most people think of the winter here in the United States, they think snow and long, grueling months of extreme cold. But down here, that's not really the case. Winter is a very hit or miss season in Florida in terms of if you actually get to experience the cold or winter weather. Where I live in northeastern Florida, the lowest average high for the year is a cozy 65 degrees, with average lows not going any lower than 43 degrees. This period lasts from late December through much of January. By mid February, signs of the warmth returning are already occurring. It's not uncommon to see days where the highs soar back into the low 80s, with lows in the high 50s or low 60s. Granted, these bursts of warmth are typically short lived, and then we go back to near average temperatures. We also do get bursts of cold here, mainly through January and early February. When this occurs, low temperatures typically dip into the low to mid 30s, with high temperatures sitting in the 40s or 50s, and those are some of my favorite days ever. It's so nice getting a relief from the heat down here.
Florida's weather is also much different in terms of the precipitation we see during the winter. As I'm sure you know, snow in Florida is exceptionally rare. Despite scattered reports of snow flurries around the area in recent years, Florida has not seen a sizable snowfall since the 1993 storm of the century, where the western panhandle received up to 4 inches of snow. Conditions are simply not conducive for snow most of the time down here, due to the warmth provided by the surrounding Gulf of Mexico and Atlantic Ocean. This warmth is also the reason why Florida seems to be one of the few states that experience thunderstorms during the winter months. During the winter months, thunderstorms are usually limited to the southern United States, often near or along the Gulf of Mexico. Due to a significant reduction in warmth from the sun during the winter months, instability is often extremely hard to come across. Even down here, many low pressure systems that would typically bring stormy weather in warmer months end up just bringing rain due to the lack of instability. Despite that, severe weather events do occasionally hit the southeastern United States during the winter months. This occurs when low pressure systems trek across the United States, sweeping a cold front along with it. While most of the eastern United States sees cold, rain, snow, or other winter weather from these storms, the deep south can be rocked with severe thunderstorms and even tornadoes. In fact, half of the tornadoes so far this year have occurred in Florida. The main two instances were the January 9th and February 4th low pressure systems, with the former bringing Florida's first January EF3 tornado on record. One of the funniest things to me about Florida winters is seeing the national temperature maps. Often Florida seems to be one of, or sometimes the only state holding on to a bit of warmth during the winter. Even when cold air manages to invade the northern part of the state, it is extremely rare that this cold air gets past Tampa. But not impossible. Back in 2022, an extremely powerful cold front punched through the eastern US around Christmas time. This resulted in wind chill advisories being issued for much of northern Florida, along with freeze watches making it all the way down to Sarasota eastward. Wind chills dropped to as low as 16 degrees in our area, with Miami even getting in on the action at a chilly 41 degrees. But all of this talk about the cold leads me into a point I've been wanting to make for a while. While I'm sure there is an objective number that is considered cold, we all interpret the cold differently. This comes down to a few factors: where we live, the type of weather we experience, our genetic makeup, our bodies, etc. So, to help me get a better grasp of what others consider to be cold, I decided to ask a few friends what they thought about the cold.
So, in order to help me understand a little bit more about how other people feel in regards to the cold in Florida and also from around the nation, I'm going to be asking a few of my friends and family how they feel about the cold. So, this is my partner. Been together for 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And you are from where?
Tennessee. East Tennessee.
Were you born there?
Absolutely,
Lived there
100%.
most of your life up until the past 2 years, right?
Just about, yeah.
So you've seen a lot colder winters than we've experienced down here in Florida. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you a few questions. So for starters, in your outside temperature weather, and I do know it's a little different in Florida because of the humidity, but where do you prefer the temperature range to be?
I prefer it to stick somewhere between a 60 to, I'd say I'd be comfortable up to a 90. That's like a dry 90, though.
Yeah.
Like a Tennessee 90.
Yeah, like a Florida 80 is
A
pretty
Florida
rough.
80 is comparable to like a Tennessee 90.
And we had that a week
95.
ago.
Yeah.
After the last storm system, and it was pretty rough. It was 83 that day.
Yeah.
So, all right, when do you consider it to start feeling cold outside, or even cool?
For me personally, a cold temp is sitting at around 50 degrees, and when it starts getting cold, that's about 40, 45-ish.
I feel
About
that way.
pushing freezing, honestly.
Yeah, because like right now it is 54 outside, and it's been rainy all day. The sun hasn't been out, and it's really cold out here. I don't know if you can see our breath, but it's you can
I
see
don't
your
know.
breath during the day, which
This
is
is
very.
comfortable for me.
It's relatively comfortable. My hands are getting cold.
My hands are fine. I don't know what you're on about.
Well,
My feet have been frozen, but
that's why you got slippers on.
yeah, exactly.
So, what temperature range do you start to consider like warm, and then getting into hot? And again, I know it's a little different from Florida, but
I would say 75 and above is reaching warm. When it hits around like I said before, about 90, that's when it starts getting really hot.
yeah.
Whether it's real feel or not,
Yeah.
like pure temp.
For the last main question I have, when does the cold start to feel like, okay, it's getting a bit uncomfortable now? Like, not to the point of like bundling up, or where like you don't really want to be outside in it anymore. It's not really like enjoyable.
Probably the 20 and below.
Yeah.
Like, is that low? Because I think a lot of
I
people
don't
probably
know.
get uncomfortable around like 30.
Yeah, I think like to me it starts to feel like cold probably by like 35, and then but like by then I'm already bundled up and everything. Like I bundle up under like 60. You know what? That's another question I should add to the list actually. When did people start bundling up? Because someone I'm going to talk to later actually, I was having a conversation with them the other day about it, and they're all like, when it gets below 60, y'all bundle up in Florida. Yeah, man, dude. It gets up to 110, 120 degrees for a good majority of the year, and then we get a cold front where it's in the 50s. Like, man, that's
Personally, I think bundling up is around like 40 degrees.
yeah. Although I will say I do usually just wear like long pants and stuff anyway. So like I know a lot of people you'll see still like walking around in shorts, especially up north in like much colder temperatures.
When it reached around like the 30s and stuff here, that's when I was considering long johns.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it. Thank you.
No problem.
My name is Ash, and I'm from Virginia, and I feel that my ideal outdoor temperature range is around 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and the temperature that would start cold weather for me would be around 40 degrees, maybe a bit lower. Um, and whenever I start to bundle up personally is whenever it hits 35 or below. Um, and around that same time, the cold does start to become uncomfortable for me. I do prefer cold weather, and I live in a very temperamental area where it is usually cold for a longer period of time. It doesn't get too warm until it starts reaching March or April. But yeah.
The cold is not often considered to be a form of significant weather or a condition that is a cause for much concern down in the south. However, cold temperatures can cause a variety of problems, even if the cold snaps are typically short lived. Freezing temperatures can damage and destroy crops, which are an important component of Florida's economy. Cold temperatures and low wind chills can lead to hypothermia, which can be fatal if left untreated. There is historical precedent for dangerous cold snaps in Florida history. Back in 1835, before Florida was even an official state, a great freeze occurred. The St. Johns River partially froze over, and temperatures were reported to be as low as 8 degrees in Jacksonville. This freeze was so devastating it caused citrus farmers to give up on attempting to grow citrus fruit in northern Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. Now, the orange industry is focused heavily in southern Florida, where freezes are exceptionally rare. Another particularly brutal cold snap occurred in 1989, which resulted in the deaths of 26 Floridians. Around 1 inch of snow was seen in Jacksonville, with trace amounts being seen in Tallahassee. Snow flurries were seen as far south as Tampa and Sarasota as well. This freeze was another devastating hit to the citrus industry in Florida, where many groves were killed off for good. The freeze hit Volusia County particularly hard, which is no longer considered a major producer of oranges when it once was. So now that we have established that Florida could still face dangerous winter conditions despite its subtropical nature and location, what does the National Weather Service do to combat this? When conditions call for it, the National Weather Service has a variety of winter weather watches, warnings, and advisories to help inform the public on the situation at hand and what they can do to keep themselves safe. For this video, I'm going to skip over most of the winter weather alerts related to precipitation, as I want to focus more on the cold temperatures themselves. We can talk about those precipitation-related alerts in another video when discussing winter storms in Florida or something similar. To get started, we have some of the most common types of cold temperature alerts for our area, freezes and hard freezes. Both of these have watch and warning versions, and on screen now is the criteria for each. A freeze simply occurs when temperatures are expected to reach 32 degrees or lower for an extended period of time. A hard freeze is a slightly more severe form of a regular freeze. At regular freeze criteria, the main concern for damage is to sensitive crops and plants, along with any outdoor pets.
During a hard freeze, when the temperature gets to 28 degrees or less, water pipes may burst. This includes plumbing to sinks, toilets, showers, and more. Then there are wind chill advisories, watches, and warnings. According to the National Weather Service, wind chill describes the rate of heat loss caused by a combination of cold temperatures and the wind. As wind speeds increase, more heat is blown away from the surface of our bodies, which can quickly lower our internal body temperature. Criteria for the issuance of these alerts vary by forecast office, the given area, expected temperatures, and expected wind speeds. To learn more about the wind chill criteria for our area, I contacted National Weather Service Jacksonville and found out a bevy of information. It turns out the criteria for issuing wind chill alerts differ slightly between the two zones of the KJAX coverage area, southeastern Georgia and northeastern Florida. First up, we have the wind chill advisory. Both zones share the similarity of requiring a sustained wind speed of 10 miles per hour or more for 3 hours, but with slightly different temperature ranges. For Georgia, the range is 6 to 20 degrees, while for Florida, it expands to 6 to 25 degrees. For the wind chill warning, the wind criteria remains the same for both regions. For the temperature range, wind chill must reach 5 degrees or lower. There is an exception to this rule, though, which applies to the 3 counties on the southern edge of the forecast area, Marion, Flagler, and Putnam. For these 3 counties, it is 10 degrees or less. When low wind chills like these are expected, the general advice is to remain indoors when possible. If you must go outside, ensure to bundle up with multiple layers and remain in heated rooms or heated vehicle for as long as possible. With less severe winters and more overall knowledge on cold weather events, it has thankfully been a while since Florida has seen a winter weather event that has been particularly deadly or devastating. And that's about all you need to know when it comes to winter weather in Florida. So, what do you think? Are Floridians just a bunch of softies when it comes to the cold, or are the winters truly something different compared to the rest of the United States down here? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps us out a lot, and it lets us know that y'all enjoy what we do. So, I hope y'all have a good day, and we'll see you in the next one.